Do you suffer from travel anxiety? Do you ever come back from vacation feeling like you missed something? You spent all that money, you took your time off. Most people don't regret traveling, they regret how they travel. They overspend, overpack, overbook, they miss experiences, they waste time, and then they come home exhausted instead of fulfilled. And the truth is, it's not because they're bad planners. It's because no one ever taught them how to plan properly. I'm going to teach you in this course for free how to plan the perfect vacation. And I also have a workbook that you can purchase at the end of this for $10 that all you have to do is fill in the blanks, print it out, and take it with you. Stay tuned. Okay, let me start by bringing up my travel planner. I don't need no help. It's already written. Okay, so this is my travel planner. And as you can see, when you order this, or if you ordered it before you started watching this video, and you can just follow along with me as I go through what this book covers. The first page to fill out in my book is the destinations you've already been to. Because if you're anything like me, I don't go to the same place twice unless it's like super, you know. But you know, there's two types of travelers out there. There's travelers that go to relax, and then there's travelers that go to explore. If you're a person that goes to vacation to relax, you don't need to plan nothing. Just go and relax. But if you're one of those type of people like me, that I go to every vacation location as if I'm never coming back to this place again. So I'm going to see everything, I'm going to do everything, I'm going to go everywhere, and I'm going to eat everything, because that's another one of my golden rules is if I can eat it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm not eating it on vacation. So with that being said, write down all of the places you've been. Now the budget part of my travel planner, it's the first thing, but then again it can come later. And what I mean by that is, if you have a set budget, then start with the budget and base your vacation upon your budget. But I always say, you don't know how much something costs until you research it. And then once you research it, add it all up, then you have a goal in mind. So you could travel in either or types of way. I like to travel on money's no object. I'm going to find out what I want, and then I'm going to work to get to that level. Some people, you know, like I said, they start with a certain amount. Okay, I only have $2,500 to go on vacation, and then they plan accordingly. That's the reason why I put the budget first. You know, I like to print this book out. It's 93 pages. I like to print it out and then like take it to FedEx, Kinko's, or Quick Print and have them bind it. And then when they bind it, do I have a copy of the binded book? I do have a copy of the binded book, but it's just not here. I'll show it to you later. But this is what it looks like when you print it out. And like I said, when you print it out, you can fill in all the blanks. You can fill in all the blanks. that's what you'll be able to see here. Okay, for an example, me and my husband are about to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. He's always wanted to go to Greece. I think Greece and Rome look the same to me, but he wanted to go to Greece. We've already been to Italy too. That's another story. So I decided to take 2 weeks and make a vacation of 2 weeks. And what I mean by that is this. If you have the time, I know a lot of people only get 2 weeks a year of vacation. But if you have the time, this is one of my tips. It costs the same amount to come back in 7 days that it costs to come back in 14 days. So if you have the time, make it happen. So you're going to see me jump all over the place in this book, but I'm going to eventually come back to it. So like I said before, I travel where I pick the place, I pick what I want to do there, what I want to see there, where I want to go, all of that. I pick that ahead of time. That way, when I come up with a price, I know what I can save for. I know what I can put on layaway, which I'll get to later. I know what I can, pay for ahead of time, all of that. So, with that being said, I'm going to start with, let's see, what is this? Brainstorming. Okay, with brainstorming, we chose places that we wanted to. We put down the places that we wanted to go to. We wanted to go to Bangkok. We wanted to go to, Thailand in general, Phuket, and we wanted to go to Tokyo. We wanted to go to Peru. We wanted to go, he wanted to go to Greece. I don't have a problem with it, but he wanted to go to Greece, and I picked all of the vacations thus far. We've been to 26 different countries, and I've picked every one of them, and just drug him along like a little unwanted participant. He always don't want to go, but then he talks about it like it was his idea when we get back. But so I write those down here, and then I pick, based upon what time of the year it is, off season, peak season. I've got a thing where I don't want to be around no kids. I don't like kids. That ruins my vacation. Unless this is a vacation where we're planning for the kids, I don't want to be bothered. Because a lot of things that, you're dealing with, when you go to a tourist destination, you're dealing with a lot of cultures. You're dealing with a lot of different ways of disciplining kids. I'm strict. I'm a disciplinarian. So I don't like kids to act up around me because mommy senses kick in and I'm ready to choke somebody. So I always pick off seasons. Plus, it's cheaper to go in off seasons. And what I mean by off seasons is like September through April. Those are off seasons for most locations. Now, it's not going to be off seasons for places like Denver, Colorado, or someplace where it's like skiing or winter type things. So you got to pick and choose the place and the location based upon the weather, peak season or off season. You might only have vacation during a certain set amount of time or certain time of the year. So with that being said, we went to Paris and London in February. Last February we went to Paris and London. We were in Paris for Valentine's Day, and it was cold. I'm not gonna lie, it was cold. So all of our pictures, if I took a picture without my coat, it was, I threw my coat off, took the picture, put my coat back on because it was cold. But it was less traffic. When we took pictures in front of Big Ben or London Eye, there was nobody out there, nobody outside, and it's the time of day. But that's a part of another section in this book. Okay, so when I chose Greece, this was the plan. Okay, Greece has a lot of islands. So I picked the islands by the activity or the place that I wanted to see or the thing that I wanted to see. It's a 14-day trip. Remember that. So what I decided was we leave for Athens on the 8th. We're going to arrive in Athens on the 9th. Okay. So on the 9th, instead of leaving the airport, we're going to take another flight from Athens to the island of Crete. And when we go to Crete, I think it's called Chenia. I might be saying that wrong. I'll learn it when I get there. Well, Chenia is the closest to the Elefsinici beach, which has pink sand. I want to take a picture on some pink sand. So that's the reason why we're going to Crete, for the pink sand at Elefsinici beach. So we're going to stay in Crete from April 9th until April 11th. That gives me plenty of time to discover new stuff there, walk through the villages and neighborhoods and eat some of the foods. And I'm only going there for that one particular thing, and that's the pink sand beach. Okay, after that we're going to go to Santorini. Of course, you've seen the white buildings with the blue domes and flying dress. I did the flying dress in Dubai on the sand, but I cannot leave Santorini without doing the flying dress in Santorini on top of the buildings. So we're going to Santorini from the 11th to the 15th. Now, what my itinerary is for Santorini is on the 12th, we're going to check into our hotel, which is, let me see, what is the name of that hotel? Okay, that hotel is called the Lilium Hotel in Fira Town. We've got one room, a superior room, sea view with a private hot tub. As of April 11th through 15th, we got the room. I kind of went, I splurged a little on this one because it's our 25th anniversary. So for 4 days, the room comes up to $1,512.46. Now, like I said, that's from the 11th to the 15th. Now, on the 12th of April, we're going to do a couples photo shoot at 7 a.m. And then at 10 a.m., we're going to take a tour of the red and black sand beaches with lunch and sunbed. Now, the photo shoot is $115.40. And the tour on the red beach and the black sand beach with lunch and sunbed included, that comes up to $376.78. Now, the next day is our anniversary, so I have nothing planned on April 13th. April 14th, we're going to take a catamaran tour with barbecue dinner, drinks, and music. That costs $186.04. Now, this is for two people. Everything that I'm saying is for a couple. It's for two people. Then, on the 15th, we're going to check out of our hotel, and we fly from Santorini to Zakynthos. And in Zakynthos, I have not booked the hotel for Zakynthos. I didn't book the hotel for the Crete Islands either. Those are two that I still have yet to plan. But we arrive in Zakynthos on the 15th of April, and we'll be there until the 18th. And the plans for that is we're going to the Shipwreck Beach with Blue Caves Land and Sea Tour. That's $117.74. That's on the 16th of April. And then let's see here, I'm pretty sure I don't have anything planned for the 17th, but on the 18th we're going to do a boat cruise to Navajo Beach and Blue Caves, and that costs $70.64. And then on the 19th of April we're going to fly to Athens, and we're going to be in Athens for 5 days. And then in Athens, what I have planned is we're going to get 3 days on a hop on and hop off bus. Doesn't mean that we're not going to do activities on those days, but usually on the first day I usually get on the hop on and hop off buses and just do a complete circle, so I know where everything is. And then I know where I want to get off at, get on, get off, and get on. So I get those for 3 days. And on the 21st of April, we're going to go to Meteora Monasteries, a day trip with caves and lunch. That's that monastery that's way up on this isolated cliff. And I believe it's a walking tour. So that costs $218, but it leaves from Athens and it goes to that city. I don't know how to say that city. Meteora? I don't know. I'll learn it when I get there. But that is the itinerary. And then we fly out of Athens back to America on the 23rd. With my book, I'll fill in all the confirmation numbers, but I also print out, you know, and all of these are from Get Your Guide. I think one of them is from Viator, but most of them are from Get Your Guide. Now, with all of that being said, that's how I determine how much everything is going to cost. So I'll put the item here, put the location or what it is here, and put the cost here, and I check off if it's paid for here. Is there any famous landmarks that I wanted to see? Well, I added that into itinerary, but I will put them here. And then things that I want to do there, I'm going to collect some of that red sand, some of that black sand, and some of that pink sand. I know they say you can't do it. Anyway. And we're going to see, you know, landmarks like I said, that monk's monastery on the top, the Blue Caves. We're already going to do, you know, sunset in Santorini and all of those good things. And then in Athens, you know, you got all of the Acropolis and all of that. So we're going to see all of that. Famous foods to try there. I'm going to try everything I can. You know, when we went to Paris, I actually ate escargot. I know everybody's like, ew, but it wasn't that bad. It tastes like the butter, the herbal butter that they cook it in. Anyway, so photos I have to get while there. Of course, I want to get myself in a bathing suit on the pink sand beach, the red sand beach, the black sand beach. In the water, either the shipwreck in Zakynthos. I want to get up on the cliff, looking down at the shipwreck in Zakynthos. So, like I said, we narrowed it down by the search. We're going to Greece. And then the travel information. This is where you're going to fill in your flight information. And you can print this page out multiple times because, like, say for instance, we have a flight that goes from Tulsa to JFK, from JFK to Athens, from Athens to Crete, from Crete to Santorini, from Santorini to Zakynthos, from Zakynthos to Athens, and from Athens back to America, and then from there back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, this page only has 5. Well, for every layover, I would put, you know, like I said, from Tulsa to JFK, from JFK to Athens. And then this one would say from Athens to Crete, from Crete to Santorini, from Santorini to Zakynthos, and then I'd have to print out a second sheet on this one before I bind it for the rest of the flights. Make sure it has your departure city, your arrival city, the departure time, the arrival time, what airline it is, what's the confirmation, and usually here I'll put like how long is the layover. That's another thing I want to get to. I have a tip for you. If you are going to travel, it's not a big deal to have a big layover. A lot of these airlines are making the layovers an hour and a half or less, and every single time I've missed my connecting flight because the flight I was on was either late or the flight I was getting on has closed the doors. We were going to Paris, and we flew from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Chicago, from Chicago to Charlotte, North Carolina, from Charlotte, North Carolina to New Jersey, from New Jersey to, no, it wasn't New Jersey, it was Washington, D.C., from Washington, D.C. to Paris. And when we got there, our plane was sitting right there. They wouldn't open the door. We got there probably 20 minutes before the flight was going to leave. They wouldn't let us on board. So then we had to change our flight, and the flight took us to New Jersey. So then we had to change our flight from leaving from Washington, D.C. to leaving out of New Jersey. And that's another thing. If you use a third party like Expedia or Pay Later Travel or anything like that to buy your tickets, and you don't buy your tickets from the airline, it is so much harder to change those flights than it is to just buy the ticket from the airline. And that's another tip. Buy your ticket. You can study and find all of these cheap tickets everywhere, but the cheapest ticket, no matter what, is to buy the ticket at the airline at the airport. That's another tip. But in any case, that's your transportation. And here I have if you're going to fly, take a train, drive, cruise ship, or bus. Circle it. Because like when we're in Greece, when we arrive in Athens, we could easily fly into Athens, but then take a ferry to the other islands. So I made sure to say, okay, we're going to fly, because I found that it was cheaper to fly using their airlines over there than it was to take the ferry, because the ferry was like $150, and for two, that's $300 one way. So again, then you could write it out I've got a second way that you can write it out here. And this one even has like seat numbers, gate or terminals. Sometimes you'll see on your reservations, you'll see that it's a flight number like AA, like what American Airlines they say, AA 1380. You can put that here. The carrier, what travel method, boat, sea, flight, total members in your party, how much it costs. You can write all of that here, and the return information. You can print this out a few times. Okay, now for your accommodations, again, this is another one that you could print out more than one if you're going to be staying in more than one place or going to more than one city. Just like we're going to 4 different islands. When we went to Egypt, we were in Cairo when we first arrived. Then we flew to Luxor, so we stayed in Luxor. And then we took a day trip to Abu Simbel, came back to Luxor, and then flew back to Cairo, spent an extra 3 days in Cairo, so that was a different hotel. And here you'll see that there's, a few different, places that you can put in your information. But one thing that I want to say, make sure you get the address, the phone number, confirmation number, how many nights you're going to be there, is it paid for or not. And then right here I would put, like, sometimes you book a hotel and you pay for it on Expedia or whatever, and it says that you got to pay taxes or something when you get there. So I'll write a little note here, it's paid for, but it's $150 tax upon arrival. So I'll put that there, which website it was, like Expedia or whatever, the booking number, because if it's Expedia, it's going to have its own number, and then then the hotel will have like a confirmation number, or vice versa. But it has whose name is the hotel in. You can write right here whether or not it's a hotel or if it's a Airbnb, whatever. But you can print this page out multiple times too if you have more than one location. And then you want to write down your travel itinerary, what time, what day and time you're going to be doing what and where. Main thing when I say where is not so much as where you're going, but where are they picking you up from, where's the pickup point or something like that. But I've got more things like that further on in the book. Destination summary. Now here, this is like an overall destination summary. Even from Tulsa, Oklahoma, arriving in Greece. What is the time zone in Greece? What's the foreign exchange rate in Greece? Let's see, right now the foreign exchange rate in Greece, let's see. And then this is something too. When you go to your calculator, on your phone, here it's got this little calculator in the corner. You can go up there and then click right here where it says convert, and then it'll ask you like what country. This is Greece. I think in Greece they use the euro. Let's see, they got the Egyptian pound in Greece. I think it's the bar. Well, what I usually do is I'm gonna put the Egyptian pound because we just left Egypt and I know what that one is. So here it's highlighted for USA or USD, so I'll put $1. So $1 in America is 49.83 Egyptian pounds. So I have to find out what, I think it's euro, baht, birr, I think it is. So for $1, it shows how much $1 is in that foreign country. So, and it has a list. When you tap on it, it gives you like a whole list of different countries and what their money is called. So you just tap on that, and then while you're over there, leave it on this, because when you do this, until you go back up here to the little calculator in the corner and turn convert off, it'll stay there, and it'll stay on that country's money. So that way, when they say, "Oh, I want 250,000," you like, "What?" For a keychain? Then you'll know what it is in American money up there, and you can also toggle between the two, of which, like, you highlight the one is highlighted the brightest. So if they said, I don't know what country this just took me to, so say Gibraltar pound. So if they say it's $20 in Gibraltar pounds, then you know that in USD it's 26.63. So keep that in mind. That's just another tip for you. Anyway, so this will give you like the foreign exchange rate. You can mark in, check the days that you're going to be there. I always travel midweek, so we're going to leave on the 8th, and I think that's a Tuesday. So I would check Tuesday and then coming back on Wednesday or something like that. And then so it's a trip to Greece from April 8th to April 23rd. It's 14 days, 15 days, 14 nights. Total budget, I don't know how much I've spent on this trip so far, but like I said, I splurged a little on this trip because it is my 25th wedding anniversary, and therefore I wouldn't take the cheap room where normally I would. Anyway, like the country, the capital, the language, the time difference, the currency, what is it called, the exchange rate. So I would put here, for every American dollar, it's, this amount of money in their money. The top attractions. Are we renting a car? What's the name of the company that we're renting the car from? The address, the phone number, the pickup date and time, drop off date and time, any notes you might have, any places that you want to eat. When I research a place, I always go by YouTube. I look on YouTube and I look at everybody else's videos and see what they're eating and what looks good and what, like where they go and things like that. I look at those things, and that you want to go to, can't remember the name of that restaurant. Matter of fact, wait a minute, I can remember it. Still have the bag from the little cake that I bought there. We wanted to go to Carrette in Paris, and luckily it was right across the street from the hotel that we got, because in Paris I got the Best Western that was over by Trocadero, and it was literally almost on the corner of the little roundabout. And those videos, you'll see those later. If you go to one of the other videos, I show the Eiffel Tower, and then I pan around and I show the hotel. That's how close we were to the Eiffel Tower. We couldn't see the Eiffel Tower from our hotel room, but still, it was Best Western. Anyway, moving on. Restaurants that you want to go to. This one was just foods you want to go to, so it could be street foods, but just certain foods that you want to try. I want to try some, Euro. They'll say, I call it Euro, so that's what I'm saying. That's it, and that's all. You don't like it, say something. Anyway, restaurants that we want to try. I know I want to go to one of those restaurants, and I got it written down in all of my notes. I want to go to that restaurant where they break the plates after the food after everybody ate. They start breaking plates on the floor and dancing, and I want to do that. So, places to visit, the landmarks. When we're in Santorini, we want to go to, they've got like a a volcano erupted over there too, and it was just like Pompeii. So they got a museum, but it don't have no bodies in it like Pompeii. But you know, I want to see that. I want to see, like I said, the pink sand beach, the black sand beach, the red sand beach, the shipwreck. I want to see all of that. The blue caves. Activities to do. Not really doing any activities, you know. When we went to Egypt, we did do like the balloon, hot air balloon ride. We did zip lining and skydiving in Dubai. A lot of people are not physically healthy enough to do that, so you pick your activities according to what you can do and what you want to do. But me, I'm a daredevil. My husband, on the other hand, since he's so big, before this trip, he was 6'2", 350, 370 pounds. Now he's lost weight. He's lost almost 100 pounds, so he might be able to do some of this stuff. I know he just don't want to do it. You know, I don't know why the tallest people are so scared of heights. I just don't understand that. But anyway, most of the stuff he does with me. We were in Dubai, the slide on the outside of the building on the high rise. He got all the way up there and was like, no. But that was when he was 370. So he didn't do it. But if you've got activities, like I said, if it's like with Get Your Guide or whatever, you can take all of the information off of here, so you don't have to actually take this. But if there's like some kind of a barcode or something, or a QR code that's on here, then I would take this and put this inside the book once you print it out and you get it binded. Or if you print it out and you put holes in it and just put it in a 3-leaf folder, just add that into the pocket. But I would still write all of the information on here, like the activity, like this one is the boat Navajo some. Anyway, I would write down what the activity is, the time and the date, details like where, you know, what is it, address of the pickup point, phone number to the company, booking number, the cost, and any activity, like what's the pickup point, you know, is this the pickup point here, or is this the address to the actual place? I wouldn't put the address to the actual place, I would put the address to the pickup point. But you know, right there you could put what it is, and then you could print this out multiple times based upon what your how many excursions you have. The travel itinerary, just like a roundabout, you know. On day 1 I'm going to do this, and this. And on day 2 I'm going to do this, and this. You know, just a summary of it. And then here's another travel overview with the destination and departure time, arrival time, pre-destination checklist, and places to visit, accommodations. This is kind of like a summary of everything that we just talked about. Now, this is the pre-travel checklist. It's got 6 months in advance, a packing list, to-do list, shopping list. This is one that most people forget: souvenirs and gift lists. Now, you go to these different countries or these different places, and you'll have friends or family saying, "Oh, bring me a T-shirt back." Okay, what's your size? What you want the shirt? What kind of shirt do you want? You know, get that information. This is just things that people forget. So this is like your pre-travel checklist, 6 months to 8 months ahead. You know, some people, you know, don't travel on a boom. They plan ahead of time. And like I said, if you travel like me, where money is no object, then you might want to plan your trip like a year in advance, so you have a whole year to start saving up for that, or you know, purchasing stuff ahead of time. I purchase a lot of stuff ahead of time. Like, as you can see, all of these are, you know, Get Your Guide, and it's already paid for. The only thing I have left to pay for is the 2 hotels in Zakynthos and the one in Crete. Those are the only 2 hotels I have left to pay for. and I still got 5 weeks until my actual trip. But these tells you, like, things to check off. The the little checklist gives you some little ideas of what to check for on the little checklist. And then this is your own little pre-travel checklist, right? What you plan on, what your plans are, and check off whether or not you did it or not. Same here, 2 lines. And then things to remember the day before the trip, the day before trip final checklist. This one is the one that, like I said, this is where you want to make sure you got all of your electric converters, your phone chargers, your batteries, you got cameras, phone. Want to make sure that you put them there, your passport, your U.S. Embassy information, anything that you need to remember before you get on that plane. Then this is the time to put it on that, go over that last minute checklist. I even have, so this is a checklist for 6 months before, 3 months before, a month before, a week before, the day before. And this is like an example of a packing list you can use. This is like, some people take, shampoo supplies and shaving supplies. I buy all of that stuff when I get there. I'm not using up my 331 on TSA. So I don't really take liquids. If I do take liquids, it would be put in my check bag. But like I said, most places have some kind of a Walmart or CVS look-alike store when you get there. So you can buy all of this stuff once you get there. I always use bar soap. I don't use bar soap at home, but I will carry a bar soap because that doesn't count against your TSA liquids. Deodorant, the toothpaste, like I said, you can get that there. Usually you can get that in your hotel lobby. But my biggest thing is shoes. I carry like 4 or 5 different pairs of shoes. That's a suitcase all by itself. So I got to learn to stop. When we go to this trip of Greece, I'm carrying a carry-on. So all of the clothes that I'm wearing are not fashionable. They're comfortable. 1 or 2 nice outfits. So I bought the vacuum seal that you just suck all the air out of and then carry the little vacuum with you. I bought that. That's another tip. So here I got the packing list, and then I got on here what is the average climate. When you get closer to the trip, like say like within 2 weeks of the trip, you should be able to kind of gauge where the weather is, or if it's like a winter, it's gonna be cold or whatever, you can kind of gauge the climate at this point, how many days you're going to be there, how many nights you're going to be there, and then you can put down items that you want to take on the trip with you. Whether or not you want to take a coat with you, or a sweater, or whatever, a bathing suit. I'm kind of not too keen on taking a towel, but because that takes up so much of your space. And if you got to carry on, so be it. But if you going with a check bag. But if you're going on with a carry-on, I would wear the coat on the plane and stick it under my seat or something. Anyway, on this one, it's got clothes, toiletries, snacks, essentials. Now, most people don't take snacks, but if you think you're going to get hungry on a plane, go to TSA or watch another video of mine that I'll probably create later, and it tells you like a list of things that TSA is not going to allow you to bring into the airport. Of course, you can't bring liquids, but you can bring an empty container for some water that you can get in the inside of the airport. Or when it comes to food that you can bring into the airport, you would be surprised how lenient they are on the food items you can bring. Now, as far as certain foods like peanut butter, anything that can move or shake like this, soups, jello, peanut butter, allow ice, but it can't have been melted. So how far do you live from the airport? So I don't know if you want to do the ice thing, but again, go to TSA egypt.gov and look at the list of things you cannot have, because that changes like air flight amounts. It changes. Miscellaneous stuff. I know when we went to another thing, when we went to Egypt, I had a whole suitcase full of snacks. And I mean ramen noodles, potato chips, cookies, because I didn't know if I was going to like their food. Because I'm not a bean person. I do not like beans in no kind of shape, form, or fashion. I take that back. I do like baked beans, but I only like them once a year. So anyway, I said, again, this is another one. And these are the to-do list. Write down some of the things that you want to do. Shopping list. Like I said, is there things that you want to buy? I know everywhere I go, I get keychains and refrigerator magnets. That's my two things. They are definitely a must. I'm not leaving that location until I find those two things. Now, my husband used to buy t-shirts. That's too bulky. More weight to carry back. Souvenirs and gifts for friends. And like I said, what's the name of the person? So say Joe wants a t-shirt and he wears a 2X. And that's where you would put that. This is a checklist for as you're walking out the door. Don't forget my book. It's got all the information in it. This is the book right here. Don't forget the book. Your flight information, your hotel accommodations, your rental car, all of that information would be in the book if you buy the book. Forget your passport or your visa. And that's another thing. The Europe has got a new entry visa that lasts for like 3 to 5 years or something, and I think it's like $25 or something like that. I got mine like 2 years ago, so I don't remember how much it cost, but it wasn't more than $20, $25. These are things to pack. Make sure you got your money. I'm a fool for $5 bills. I love $5 bills because when it comes to tipping, I can take 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, however many, and it's not like I'm counting like dollars at the strip club. It's like $5 here, or whatever. A lot of these places that you go to love American money. Don't let them fool you. But anyway, things to pack, not to forget to pack. And who will take care of certain things like your dogs or your plants in your house or anything like that. These are carry-on packing lists. This, your headphones. Don't forget your headphones. Your blanket. I mean, they give you a blanket, but this sucker's so thin. I'd rather have a thick blanket and then be able to take it off when I'm hot than to have a thin blanket and I'm still cold. If you're going to have your laptop, or I know you're going to have your cell phone and your chargers, your adapters. Don't forget your adapters. We went to Italy and I plugged something into the adapter and it was the wrong adapter. It fit in the thing. It made the whole hotel go black. I acted like I didn't do it, but it was me. Forget, personal items, sanitary napkins. In my book, I have pages for a journal, so you don't need to bring no journal with you. Things that you might want to have on the plane, change of clothes, underwear, and socks if it's a long flight. I mean, I don't know if you want to sit there in the same underwear for a whole 24 hours or 18 hours. I don't. Anyway, like I said, snacks, water, gum. Snacks you could probably bring with you. Gum you could probably bring with you, but the water you're gonna have to fill that up in the airport. Daily itinerary. I have a few of these on here, and it has like the date and time, where are you, what your budget is for today. So if you got things that you're gonna buy while you're out, put your budget there for the day, and then timeline on exactly what time is what. I always, when I book excursions, I always say to myself, okay, like say for instance in Santorini, we got the the photo shoot at 7 a.m. It says that that lasts for 2 hours. Okay, so we should be done by 9 a.m. Well, the next thing that I have to do is an hour away. That gives me enough time to change clothes and travel to get there, or travel to get there and change clothes when I get there. Either way it go. But these are a few, today's meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. Daily expenses. Are you planning on paying for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Or is that something that's included in, say for instance, your excursion? If you're buying souvenirs, how much is that? Like I said, my keychain, my refrigerator magnet. So this tells you where, you could put what you planning on eating and where at. So I got a few of those pages, usually 7 of them, because that's usually how long a vacation is. And then this is like a weekly summary of things going on: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all on one page. Outfit planner. I am a stickler. I try to vision what I'm going to look like standing in front of whatever, and I wanted to, like when we went to Paris, I wanted to take a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower. I wanted the little beret, the little red beret, and a little black and white shirt. So I had that. Anyway, date, activity, location. What is the weather going to be? It's going to be sunny, cloudy, raining, snowing, blizzard snowing. And then, you could stick the picture there, or, you don't have to stick the picture there. But this is, like I said, my outfit planning. And then these are some helpful tips, and this is what I haven't done, but I still got 5 weeks. I haven't written down any kind of local phrases. I didn't write down any safety tips, so I still got this part of my book to do: countdown calendar. And then, like I said, some of the local phrases that you might want to learn is like hello, goodbye, do you speak English, where's the restroom, how much does this cost, please, thank you, excuse me, how do I get to, and then say where you're trying to go. Can I have my bill, please? Because a lot of places that you go to are not like America, and they will feed you, put the food on the table, and you will never see them again. You have to ask for your bill. And I know that was like it was in Paris. I would like to have, like when I go to a bakery in the morning, I want a chocolate croissant, whatever. I would like to have a chocolate croissant. Or I'm sorry, and I do not speak whatever language it is that they speak in whatever country you're going to. You can write, and then I always try to learn to count to 100 in whatever language. And then here's a page where you can write down your own sayings, and then you can translate it like I did here. And when you translate it, you can write it the way it's supposed to be written, or you can write it the way it sounds to you when they say it. When you say hi in Tokyo, it sounds like the state of Ohio. So I write down Ohio. So, write it the way it sounds to you, because you'll be sitting here like me looking at a word like, I don't know how to say it, but I'll learn how to say it when I get there, and I ask one of them how to say it. 50 tips. I want to write down the U.S. Embassy location and its number, airport number for, like here recently, Trump sent a bomb over to Iran, and now the travel in Dubai is canceled. You might want to be able to, either contact the U.S. Embassy, or you might want to be able to contact the airport and be like, hey, can I get the heck up out of here? 50 tips. A lot of places that I go to that's out of the country, they all have this same thing about pickpockets. So I actually bought a bag that has a lock on it that you can't, it's a crossover bag. And wait a minute, let me go get it. Okay, this is a crossover bag, and they can't get into it. You know how usually it has zippers right here, and then if you put it on your back, they can just open it up. Well, this has got a lock on it, so your zippers go right into those things. They can't cut this bag, and this bag is OZUKO. I bought 2 of these bags, one for me and one for my husband. So that's the bag. It also has the little charging thing. You put a battery in the inside, and then you can charge your phone from the outside. But yeah, that's the bag. Anyway, so that's just one of those tips. Anyway, now this is a countdown calendar. You can do with this as you please. You can put like how many days until your, so you got 14 days to your vacation. You can mark off 14, 13, 12, 2, whatever. Or you can put in the date, it's April, and the 8th is like, I don't know what day of the week we're leaving on. I got to look at that. I just know we're leaving on, let's see here. Where's my plane ticket for that? That would be helpful. That's February. I bought my plane tickets the day after Thanksgiving. Not Black Friday, but the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Let's see here. April the 8th. This is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And I would mark off. That's the 1st. And on the 2nd, I'll check off the 2nd. On the 3rd, I check off the 3rd. Anyway, like I said, you can do with that what you want. This is the part where I've got the travel journals and the wonderful memories. So, certain things that happen, I'll write down, something that happened that was like funny or something. Like we went to Egypt and we got a tour guide when we were in Egypt, and when she had arranged for us to have a camel ride across in front of, and pictures taken by our phone. That was like something nice that the guy who was in charge of the camels did. He was like, let me see your phone. So he took video of us riding the camels, and then he took some pictures of us, on the camels with the pyramids in the background. Well, when my husband got on his camel, he was kind of leaning, so every time the camel moved, he was kind of like, oh, get me down, because I'm gonna fall, because the saddle thing was going like this as he was. It was funny. So I wrote that down, most memorable moments, and then placed the picture there of what my favorite part of the day was, and then this is like more notes that you can write, or more journal that you can write, what type of day was it, what the temperature was, same thing. So I got like 7 of these in there too. And then at the end of this, got like 7 of those added there that you can like document something that you don't want to forget from your trip. Notes, 7 of those on there. And then this is what I put on here for if you're going to have a house sitter or somebody that's going to come over to your house and check on things while you're gone. This is like a house sitter information. If they're going to stay there, how they can contact you or contact a neighbor. When is, where's the fire extinguisher, when to water what plants, where's the first aid kit, the spare key, what is the Wi-Fi password, if there's a plumbing problem, this is who you call, a locksmith problem or your electrician problem, pet care, what to feed what pet, 3 scoops of dog food, 1 can of wet food, if that's what you do, then that's where you would put that. And now we can go back up to, oh no, I didn't want to do that. Okay, now we can go back up to budget. Now, with the budget, I have a budget overview where you write down all of the accommodations, transportation, the shopping plans, the food plans, the activity plans, the miscellaneous plans. Total all of that up. Total all of that up. If you have a budget, write down what your budget is. Write down how much, you plan on spending or whatever. This is what I put as total spent because I put that in after I come back. This is how much I spent. This might have been what my budget was, but this is how much I spent. That's what I got that down there for, but you can do with that what you want. But I write down the expenses, and when I write down the expenses, there are certain things, and this is like if you have savings already saved up. But here, like I said, this is the date that is going to be, what category that is, food, accommodations, flights or whatever, description, cost, subtotal. And then here, this is for what you already have saved. Oh, I spelled that wrong. I'm gonna have to change that. It's supposed to be still to save. Anyway, this is the payment plan, and when I go by payment plan, this is what I mean. There's certain buy now, pay later places like Affirm, Klarna. What are some of the other ones? As far as like airline tickets, you got Later Travel, where you can put a certain amount down and then make payments, so you can, if it's Klarna, this is for Expedia for this date. The total cost or payment amount is this, and this is how much you got left to pay. And then every time you make a payment, this is how much you paid, this is how much you got left to pay, and then that goes down the list. That's what I have as far as budgeting. And like I said, there are plenty of buy now, pay later companies like Zizzle, and there's so many of them. Like I said, you can use this book to where all you have to do is just fill in the blanks, and your trip is totally organized. You can get this book, like I said, it'll be in my description. Stan Store, STAN.store/Worldviews and Wanderlust. That's where you can purchase this workbook for $10. And like I said, all you have to do is fill in the blanks. It's self-explanatory. All you have to do is fill in the blanks, and it will completely make you not stress-free. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make videos on each section of this book. And when I say section, I mean like this, the travel budget, where I'm going to show you in real time how to budget your whole trip. And then this video where I'm showing you how I brainstorm on destinations that I pick, why I pick them, how I pick them, how to get it for the cheapest cost, get the most bang for your buck, and how I plan an itinerary. Then here I'll go over booking and reservations, how to find the best accommodations, rental cars, restaurants and activities, that whole thing. And then on this one, it's like the travel checklist. So we'll go over in detail on the checklist. Helpful hints, like I said, that I'll probably do a video on. I probably won't. This I don't have to do a journal because everybody knows how to journal. But then here your house sitting information. That's something that you do on your own. It's all self-explanatory in the book. So, but this is the overall video, and that's it.